Absolutely is. And the thing, and just I want to say this though too, Jay, right? There's a lot of people who probably feel like we're already at war with the police, my guy. And this is just another casualty to that war, right? I'm talking about the internet kind of evoking the feeling of the internet too, right? There's also a part of the internet, I mean, I'll pass it right to you, that says, there's this blue wall thing, right? That police officers, even those of them who are not the ones who are responsible at times, either through just not saying anything, tend to be complicit even after the fact, knowing that their fellow officers may be causing harm. So there are some people who feel like that's for them, their way of kind of saying, hey, man, say, man, yes, this other sheriff may not be as innocent as we may think to a certain extent. And while I don't necessarily agree with that, because I just don't think that the loss of life here was appropriate at all, right? It didn't go through any process. Like, to me, that's the biggest issue that I have. I get it, the idea that, hey, I want to take life into my own hands. I just don't think that system's set up for anybody to do that, even though some people do that. So that's where I kind of push back on. But the point is that some people will say, that other police officers are complicit in this. And so how do we encourage other police officers to step up? Because if they feel like, well, damn, I didn't do nothing, but yeah, I'm going to get the blowback from somebody else doing something. I think that's the logic from the internet to try to put pressure on either other police officers or people in general to just do better, to where we don't find ourselves not only having to deal with this, but then also not getting justice because other people are being quiet and not speaking up for the motherfuckers on the squad who's really doing all the fucked up shit. So
I think that there we it could be said that we're at war. I heard someone earlier in their statement talking about our side and their side. I mean, we've been at this for a while. We've been at this before civil rights, right? This is how the Crips came about and the Bloods came about. They weren't initially, people scourges of the community. Initially, they were there because we felt like we needed an answer to what the state sponsored law enforcement was doing in our communities, and then that turned sour, right? And so, there is no one shot solution, except it's a piece to it's a solution based community, right? It's based community in terms of what we agree that we will accept within our walls of our community, and then us promoting people to be, like I said, officers from the community. I know, but look, if we can try to push Calvin to move up to fries at McDonald's, then we can try to get somebody with some character to be a officer from our neighborhood, from our block, that we know, who knows us, who polices us with care. There was a airman who was killed by a law enforcement officer in his own home, right? He just answered the door. It was down in Florida, I think, and just got shot. Somebody reported there was an argument in his apartment. It wasn't even true. The officer went up there. The officer banged on the door. The guy answers the door with his gun, which is lawful. Gun is pointed down. The officer says, boom, 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 drop the gun in that order, right? Body cam footage shows all that. What I'm saying is, yes, we have a problem. We have always had a problem. But our way to address it is not the way you don't go the way they're pushing you to go, folks. We need to be active. We need to be the solution. If we don't like the way cops are, be better cops. If we don't like the crime in our neighborhood, well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have all the solutions, man, but let's start there.
that's what I was about to say, man. Like, listen, y'all remember, I recently just saw a video where Atlanta put out, and it was fly. They did like a little play on Kendrick Lamar's They Not Like Us or whatever. I don't know if it went viral, if you guys got a chance to see it. So yes, there are some, and I guess it would be Atlanta, creative police departments who are trying to reach out to people. But also in Atlanta, I believe it was a couple of years ago, where these young people got manhandled and done wrong by police officers who were black, who looked like them, who most likely from the neighborhood. So I do get this idea that just because, oh, they're from the neighborhood, is going to be a solution to a problem. But unfortunately, it goes back to the code of the blue wall. Because guess what? Some of these police officers and departments have black guys in there too. Do you ever hear them? Now, I'm not knocking them, because they deal with some challenges too in terms of being able to speak up in those instances. You dig what I'm saying? But here's the thing, right? I don't think this guy was sitting here looking for a solution. So when we want to frame it as that, I feel like we do him a disservice to a certain extent, because we're putting and projecting what we think it should have been for him. We're saying, oh, we would not do X, Y, and Z. Listen, if the guy did have a mental break and you understand what that means, at least to meet the mental, the legal bar, then how can any of y'all say that that could never happen to you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't know that.
You
You know what I'm
can
saying?
never
I get
happen.
if you're saying that you believe he made a conscious decision, so therefore maybe the law would not be able to protect him because mentally he did not have a breakdown. I'm saying it is possible that he did have a mental breakdown. So
Mhm.
whereby it's not a matter of him saying, "Hey, you know what? Me running over this police officer is going to make put a little splash in the ocean of this whole Black Lives Matter thing." It was none of that. So for
Mm.
me, I just understand that for him, that he was going through a situation where I can understand emotionally and mentally it could have been a challenge for him, and he did something that unfortunately ended up in the life of someone else being lost. So I'm just saying when we talk about these things, for me, I feel like I don't always need to put me
Mhm.
on it. I rather try to see what was going on with
Mhm.
them because guess what, Jay? Maybe it's not organized. Maybe we don't think it's the best strategy. But if enough people find themselves motivated in terms of vigilantism, I think there are going to be people who move a certain
Mhm.
type of way. And I'm sorry, I don't
I'm
think they are setting us up to go in there. Nah, they don't need no fucking excuse. You think they need an excuse to come shooting us down if they really want to do that? You think, oh, let's set it up to where these Negroes are really upset because we need every justification. No,
to
nigga,
the
when
to
they
the
do that
extent that
shit in
they wanna
fucking
do it,
Missouri,
yes.
when they have, I'm telling you, I don't think they need
Mhm.
justification. I'm telling you, I don't think they have to come up with this elaborate plan. No, because guess what? Humans are gonna human, bro. You kill my son, I'm gonna feel some type of way about it. Right? Humans are gonna human. It doesn't mean they're a part of some larger black conscious of how we as black people should move. And I'm
I'm
just
not
saying, as a
saying that.
human being, I understand. I'm saying as human beings, I understand that some of us, we can say we're going to do a thing, but we don't know what we would do in a given situation. And so that's why I'm saying, like, it sounds good, but that brother lost his life. And I'm telling you, me personally, I do think it's possible he had a mental break. And I cannot tell you I would not have a mental break
Mhm.
if something tragic happened to me for real, for real. Come on, man.
I think that it is possibly had a mental break. I completely believe that. My point is this. First off, all right, I'll say I was upset that GoFundMe canceled his GoFundMe campaign at the behest of the Fraternal Order of Police, whatever. I was like, if Dylan Roof can get GoFundMe, then why can't this man get GoFundMe? Now, the counter argument would be that technically by attacking the cops, it was an act of terrorism, and they are raising funds, and they are raising funds for a terroristic act or whatever, whatever, whatever. It can RICO out of control, depending on how they want to spin it. So I see that. But my point, my larger point is this, y'all. We can try to support this man in his grief because we can all mourn with him. We can all hurt with him. We should. Black, white, green. You should mourn for a man who lost his son and did not get answers why, who lost his child. Any parent lost their child and did not get answers why. We should all grieve and mourn. Our hearts should go out to them, right? What I'm saying is we can support him, we can mourn for him, we can stand behind him. What we cannot do is make him a hero. What we cannot do is make him an example because that does not serve us in our long-term best interest.
And in 2009 in Oakland, I was still living in the Bay, and there was a young man that had encountered a police officer. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he ended up killing the cop, right? And there's no justification to this. The cops came to his house, SWAT team kicked in, and this brother killed 5 of them. When I tell you from 2009 right now, his name rings in Oakland on the anniversary of the death of those cops. It rings in Oakland. People say because they killed him, right? Ultimately, they barged into the house and they retaliated, and he died. Of course, he there was. I would like to believe that when he killed the first cop, he knew that he wasn't going to make it, and he went for the gusto, quote unquote, and kind of went as far as he felt that he could. But yes, martyrdom in movements matters. Like let's not pretend that there haven't been people who have martyred themselves and made significant changes throughout our world and throughout our time. We can't just say because it's Mr. Hinton Jr. and he was a nobody to somebody, right? That he's not important enough or that his movement wouldn't be important enough to spark some change. Do I think it will? No, because we are an environment that is shaped by social media and this is more entertainment for most of us and we'll forget next week and we'll go back to living our lives. That's why it's important sometimes to be martyred because your memory lasts on in what you did. It doesn't validate what you did. It just says that this person tried to do something against the regiment or against the regime in which none of us been able to do. Which is why we know who Rosa Parks is today, too, right? She was the only one to sit down and stay down. And we remember her. And I think that sometimes it takes that. Do I say that murder is a great thing? No. But in revolutions, there are casualties of war. And we are hopefully in the beginning of some sort of revolution because we are still marginalized and oppressed here. There is no good answer.